There's our guy, Josh from Camargo Insurance. You know him. He is the judge and jury of Run, Pass, or Boot this year. And of course, if you have an RPB, you want us to read it and answer the question, send your suggestions to josh at camargoinsurance.com. Also, when you work with Josh at Camargo on your insurance, you know you're getting a true concierge experience. No fluff or run around, just one-on-one help from somebody who gets it. And he's not your average agent. He is a certified insurance and risk professional who helps business owners protect what they've built and plan for what's next. So if you own a small business, reach out to Josh to assure peace of mind that you have the best coverage available. He also works with the best carriers in the industry so you can find the perfect coverage for home, auto, business, life insurance. And Josh is giving back to the Growl Pals. We love that. He's giving away 2 tickets to Bengals versus Ravens game. All you got to do is request the free, no obligation quote. You don't have to buy anything to enter to win. Then you are entered for a chance to win some seats and also make sure that your coverage actually makes sense. Link to enter is found in the episode notes, or you can just go to our website, thegrowlerpodcast.com. So if you're ready for insurance that's simple, personal, and handled by someone who's a trusted growl pal, reach out to Josh at Camargo Insurance and also send him your RPBs. Josh at camargoinsurance.com. This week's RPB question comes from David I. David sending in, a lot of you guys sending in questions about the trade deadline. So here's this one. David I, wondering what is the most likely trade deadline scenario? Most likely trade deadline scenario. Trade Trey Hendrickson, add anything, or stand pat. I think this answer's obvious for me. I don't know if it feels obvious for you, Jay. I'll see where you go with it.
I mean, it feels, just based on history, it feels obvious to say they're going to stand pat. But they have been a little more receptive to taking calls and at least thinking about making moves. And I don't know that they would give up a pick. But if there's somebody interested in Cam Taylor-Britt, for instance, or, a player for player type of swap, I wouldn't take that off the table. I think there's a chance of that, but I think you still have to run with stand pat. It's just what they tend to do this time of year, and then pass on adding something, and then boot the Trey thing. It's just getting exhausting. All these reports about, will they trade him? They're back in it with Flacco. They are not going to trade Trey Hendricks. I mean, what do you think it would take? I guess obviously if somebody comes in and gives them a crazy offer, they can't refuse. But if someone offered 2 firsts right now, I don't even think they'd take that. You're not going to get 2 firsts for Trey, but at this point, you saw what it looks like without him against Pittsburgh, and that's not that great of an offense anyhow. So I don't know that there's any way that they entertain the thought of trading Trey Hendrickson. So that does feel like a kind of it's probably the same direction you were going to go, but it does feel kind of obvious.
Yeah, I would go exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Name me the last time that the Bengals traded away a player that could have helped them win games this season. Non-Napalm edition. I'm not counting Carlos Dunlap putting his house up for sale and posting the rotations and all that stuff, or Carson Palmer in his retirement situation. Take those two. They're very different buckets. Trey's not doing that. There's none of that happening here. Name me the last time they traded away a player that could have helped them win games that season, no matter how bad they were that season.
I can't even think of one.
There isn't one.
Yeah.
Never. They have made trades. It's to add. They don't trade for future years, for future assets. It's the one thing they stand on is moves that they make during the season are about winning games for this season. That you're just not going to see them quit. I always mention that 2019 trade deadline, but when they were winless and they had AJ and Geno on the roster and people were calling, they still, even knowing those guys weren't a part of their future, still weren't taking that on, and they were winless. This team, it would have to start with them losing their next 2 games. I mean, they would have to be 3-6. And in fact, it would probably have to take something happening to Joe Flacco. And I know, knock on wood, everybody there on that one, but like, that's the type of disaster scenario you have to be on by the trade deadline for them to even have a conversation about that. You see how bad their pass rush is without Trey. They know how much they need him to win games this year, and that matters more to them than anything else. Yeah, standing pat seems the most likely. I don't think that they're one player away on defense. Nothing that they're going to add, and they've already made their trade. It feels like they've given up the assets that they're going to be willing to give up this year. I would be stunned to see them add, although you could make a lot of arguments for them adding some kind of a pass rusher on the interior. But again, I don't see that happening.
I go back to that
2019
trade deadline. We were in London when that was coming up, and you got Duke, and it was one of the most head-scratching quotes I've ever heard from Duke Tobin. We said, "It's not my job to make other teams better." That's why they didn't want to trade away AJ and Geno, and that's obviously you're making
We've heard
yourself.
that since. We've heard that since. It was essentially the same line about T. Higgins and things like that. Yep. All right. If you want to win Bengals Ravens tickets, you can. The giveaway form is in the show notes and at our website, thegrowlerpodcast.com. Click it. Just takes 2 minutes. You get your no obligation quote. You don't have to buy anything. Then you'll have a chance to go see Bengals Ravens at Paycor on the 14th. Get in that today.